followed by dash by DL and your state. And if you want to put your agency, that's fine too. I'm seeing that done. That's perfect. What the important thing is going as we go through is when I recognize you, is that you state your name, your affiliation for the record. No, the most important part of this. The other members, like myself, the conference vice chair, executive director, treasurer, the council chairs, council vice chair, parliamentarian, resolutions committee chair, those have been addressed. I also want to make sure you all have gone over to your voting mechanism and activated that. Does anyone have any questions how to access the voting mechanism? And if anyone's texting me, I can't do text right now.
David, I'm not sure.
So you have to go, if you go back to the, Christine, could you explain it to Kathy?
Yes. Am I muted? No.
No, you're good.
I'm
So
listening.
Kathy, when you went onto Pathable and you got onto the session card
Yeah.
and you click that, it brings you into the session and you see all the names of the people. It says closing session, assembly of delegates, and there's a bunch of names there. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the red button that says voting mechanism.
Okay.
Got that?
And I activate it?
Yep, you hit that. It may ask you for your name or your code, either or it may not. But it'll open up a new tab on your browser, and just make sure you leave that tab open so you can toggle between the Zoom meeting and then that tab.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sure thing.
And also all the delegates, you should have received your voting codes again this morning.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to do a test vote, of course, when we get to the appropriate part.
Are we asking non-sick people to turn their camera on?
So I would request that if you are not a voting delegate or one of the people on the stage, on the virtual stage, to please turn off your camera. So a few other things, as far as virtual etiquette, mute your microphone until recognized to speak.
I'm trying to reserve the cameras for just the delegates.
Janet, I see your chat, but it's
60 of them.
maybe we can cover that in the part about the delegates. So make sure to unmute your device and use only the unmute function in Zoom. You'll be recognized to speak. And that's what Janet was saying is the raise hand feature. We're going to address that as we get into the process for how the deliberations will occur on the reports from the councils. State your name and affiliation before speaking. Remember to lower your hand after speaking. If not, we'll remind you. And restrain from chat, except when requested by the conference chair. We are seeing some of that between the co-host or what have you. That's different. Audience members, if we're at a process where audience members would be recognized as part of the process, you would have to request, we're asking that you request time in the chat. And assembly members can request to recognize that audience member in lieu of using their time to speak. So you're same as the council sessions here. And again, the virtual name tags over here. If any delegates have joined since I began speaking, please use the nomenclature there. Your name, -delegate, and your state, and you put your affiliation within that state, if you'd like. So if again, now we can take this slide off. The view you should be seeing should be those. You're gonna have a few screens of these. So again, this should only be the members of the board, the council chairs, vice chairs, the lead parliamentarian, and the delegates. Those should be the only ones with cameras on at this point. We also have a recorder with us today. So she's in the corner. Beth, you could also turn off your camera. So I'd like to go ahead and get started, everyone.
You're gonna have everybody, all of the delegates, unmute themselves.
Okay, and we have a request that all the delegates, because we're going to be doing a roll call, but so I will remind you at that point to unmute your lines at that point, rather than in the beginning, because there's some things I have to say. So I'd like to call to order the General Assembly of the 2020 Conference for Food Protection Biennial meeting. By way of introductions, I'll let you know who's on the virtual stage with me today. We have David McSwain, the Executive Director of the Conference for Food Protection. We have the Conference of Food Protection Vice Chair, Brenda Bacon. We have Janet Williams, our lead parliamentarian, who will be serving in that role for today's meeting. We have Ann Johnson, the Chair of Council 1, Sharon Wood, the Chair of Council 2, and Dr. Keith Jackson, the Chair of Council 3. We also have with us Clifford Nutt, the Treasurer of CFP, and Shirag Bhatt, the Resolutions Committee Chair. I just have a few words to say up front to express my appreciation to all of those who have played such an important role in preparing and pulling off what I feel has been a very successful 2020 biennial meeting in the virtual format. This meeting provides a unique experience since it's the first time the meeting has been held as a virtual event. I'd like to thank all state and territory delegates for attending the session today. And the councils have worked more, I have diligently here, but describe your work as diligently is an understatement. But you've done an amazing job over the last 4 days in vetting issues and arriving at consensus-based recommendations for the Assembly of State Delegates. And the councils should be commended for all of that work, and a lot of it running late into the evening. Much work by necessity is undertaken between conference biennial meetings through committees and their leadership. The work of everyone involved on council and standing committees is greatly appreciated. And anyone attended their board meeting this morning heard a little bit more about our council and standing committees and the future sign-up process and formation process for those council and standing committees. And that active involvement is what makes CFP successful. So I encourage all of you to be actively engaged in CFP in the years ahead. Our success as an association depends on the efforts of committed individuals such as yourselves. And you can't just be a spectator in this process. Those of you who are passionate about food safety, you just can't be a spectator. So participating in the committee work and even working your way up in our organization to the board and to standing committees and committees, that makes this organization work. A biennial meeting is a lot of work to put together. There's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes, and I can't relate all of that to you, but it has definitely happened in preparation for this virtual meeting. We basically, as I said in the opening session, we basically prepared for 2 meetings. The original in-person meeting, which did not happen, and then redoing everything in the virtual format and working very closely with our virtual format provider, Conference Direct, to make that happen. The workload this year was greater than usual because of that virtual format. The conference has a great executive staff. Again, an understatement using the word great. We have a superb executive staff with David McSwain as our executive director, Clifford Nutt as our executive treasurer, and Vicki Everly, as our executive assistant. Each of these executive staff has put a tremendous amount of time and effort in planning and implementing the virtual meeting. I'd also like to publicly show my appreciation for their assistance over the last 3 years as I served as the chair of the conference. I would also like to sincerely thank Brenda Bacon for going above and beyond in her role as responsibilities as a conference vice chair and for her representation of the conference over the past 3.5 years. We have had quite an adventure, haven't we, Brenda? And I feel we have served you all to the best of our abilities and capacity. At this time, I will turn the podium over to our Executive Director, Dr. McSwain, to conduct the roll call for the Assembly of States. I would like for all the delegates to unmute your lines at this time. So when he does the roll call, we don't have to delay and you open your lines. Thank you. But please maintain the volume behind you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and once we have completed calling your name in the roll, if you would remute yourself, that may help to eliminate some of the background noise as well. I will begin with a roll call of states. As I read the name of your state, I'd like for you to respond by indicating your name, the name of your agency, as well as the vote that you have for your state. If you have a full vote, then please state as much. If you have a half vote, please indicate that share of the vote as well. And we will accept your statement as to the amount of votes that you currently have. So here is the roll. First is Alabama.
Yes, Phyllis Finn, Alabama Department of Public Health, 1 full vote.
All right, Alaska.
Kimberly Stryker, Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation, 1 vote.
Very good. Arizona.
Hi, this is Jennifer Botsford from the Arizona Department of Health Services. I have 1 full vote.
Arkansas.
Good afternoon. This is Cherie Woodis from the Arkansas Department of Health, and I have 1 full vote.
California.
This is Susan Leverton from the California Department of Public Health. I have 1/2 vote.
Natalie Kraut Greenberg, California Department of Food and Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Colorado.
Troy Huffman, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, 1 full vote.
Connecticut.
Amanda Valden, Department of Consumer Protection, State of Connecticut, 1/2 vote.
Christine Applewhite, Connecticut Department of Public Health, 1/2 vote.
Delaware.
Hi, Lance Kopp, Delaware Division of Public Health, and 1 full vote.
The District of Columbia.
Ivory Jean Cooper, District of Columbia Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Florida.
Joetta D. Francesco, Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, 1/2 vote.
Travis Morris, Florida Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Georgia.
Sean Bryant with Georgia Department of Public Health, 1/2 vote.
Chris Peasley with the Georgia Department of Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Hawaii. Peter Oshiro, Hawaii. Idaho.
Hello, Jared Samples, Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, 1 full vote.
Illinois.
Jessica McAnally, Illinois Department of Public Health, 1 full vote.
Indiana.
Anna Clevenger, the Indiana Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Iowa.
Mark Speltz, Iowa Department of Inspections and Appeals, 1 full vote.
Kansas.
Adam Inman, Kansas Department of Agriculture, 1 full vote.
Kentucky.
Travis Patton, Kentucky Department for Public Health, 1 full vote.
Louisiana.
Carol Newsetzer, Louisiana Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Maine.
Lisa Silva, Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Celeste Poulin, Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, 1/2 vote.
Maryland.
Patricia Valls, Maryland Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, Michael Moore, Department of Public Health, 1 full vote.
Michigan.
Sean Dunleavy, Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, 1 full vote.
Minnesota.
Health, 1/2 vote.
Jeff Ludeman, Minnesota Department of Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Mississippi,
Henri Fuselier, Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce, 1/2 vote.
do I hear from Serena Johnson, State Department of Health in Mississippi? Montana. Montana, Jeff Havens, Department of Health. Nebraska,
Dan Kaler, Nebraska Department of Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Mandy Kearney, Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, 1/2 vote.
Nevada,
Hayes, Nevada Division of Public and Behavioral Health, 1 full vote.
New Hampshire,
Colleen Smith, the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services, 1 full vote.
New Jersey,
William Manley, New Jersey Department of Health, one full vote.
New Mexico,
Earhart, New Mexico Environment Department, 1 full vote.
New York,
Darby Greco, New York State Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
David Lepkofker, New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets, 1/2 vote.
North Carolina,
Josh Jordan, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, 1 full vote.
North Dakota,
Julie Wagendorf, North Dakota Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Ohio,
Tim Tewksbury, Ohio Department of Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Amy Higley, Ohio Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Oklahoma,
Travis Flawn, Oklahoma State Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Oregon,
Dave Martin, Oregon Health Authority, 1/2 vote.
Rusty Rock, Oregon Department of Agriculture, 1/2 vote.
Pennsylvania,
Stephanie Smith, Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture, 1 full vote.
Kathy Feeney. I'm sorry, Rhode Island.
Kathy Feeney, Rhode Island Department of Health, 1 full vote.
South Carolina,
Sandra Craig, South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, 1 full vote.
Tennessee,
Debbie Pickle, Tennessee Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Texas,
Jason Guzman, Texas Department of State Health Services, 1 full vote.
Utah,
Tim Lane, Utah Department of Agriculture and Food, 1/2 vote.
Chris Nelson, Utah Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Vermont,
Elizabeth Worsing, Vermont Department of Health, 1 full vote.
Virginia,
Perry Pearson, Virginia Department of Health, 1/2 vote.
Pam Miles, Virginia Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services, 1/2 vote.
Washington State,
Joe Graham, Washington State Department of Health, 1 full vote.
West Virginia,
Jennifer Hudson, West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources, 1 full vote.
Wisconsin,
James Kaplanik, Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, 1 full vote.
Wyoming,
Justin Latham, Wyoming Department of Agriculture, Consumer Health Services, 1 full vote.
let me put out one last call for Hawaii. Mississippi State Department of Health, Serena Johnson, are you attendance? Jeffrey Havens, Montana. That concludes the roll. It's going to take me just a couple of minutes. All right, we have 59 delegates in attendance. And they would be representing 46 states and the District of Columbia. Caucus elections, obviously to fill the position on the executive board, were held this year virtually and during caucus meetings either on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday afternoon. The results of those elections were Tim Tewksbury from the Ohio Department of Agriculture was elected to a second term from the Mid-Atlantic region. Joe Graham with the Washington State Department of Health was elected to a first term for the Pacific region. And Troy Huffman with the Colorado State Department of Health and Sustainability was elected to a first term for the Southwest region. These gentlemen will all represent state agencies. Local regulatory, Christine Silvas with the Southern Nevada Health District was elected to fulfill a second term for local agencies in the Pacific region. And Christopher Sparks was also elected to a second term in the Southwest region. In our industry affiliate, Steve Oswald with Wakefern Corporation was elected as the food processing representative to the board, and Thomas McMahon with Meyer was elected as an at-large representative or member representing the food industry at large. The academic caucus elected Gina Kramer Nicholson at The Ohio State University as the academic representative to the board. In addition, your executive board earlier today affirmed the appointment of the following members to the position of council vice chairs for the 2020-22 biennium, which would carry through until April of 2023, when our next biennial meeting will be held. In Council 1, the vice chair is Rodney Blanchard with the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development from Petersburg, Michigan. For Council 2, Courtney Holbrook at Top Golf was elected as the vice chair. And in Council 3, Dr. Don Schaffner at Rutgers University in New Brunswick, New Jersey was elected as the vice chair of Council 3. As I mentioned earlier, our next biennial meeting will be held in person, hopefully, from April 24th to April 29th, 2023 at the Westin Galleria Hotel in Houston, Texas. Hopefully you will take a few moments and put that meeting on your calendar now and plan to attend. We will post the dates, obviously, on the CFP website soon after the close of this meeting, but we'd like for you to certainly plan to attend that meeting. I'm going to read the following statement as required by our Constitution and bylaws. A quorum must be present. A quorum is defined as the presence of registered voting delegates from at least 2/3 of the states with designated official delegates in attendance at this Assembly of Delegates meeting. Each territory in the District of Columbia shall count as 1/2 state in constituting a quorum. 2/3 majority is required to change a procedure adopted at a previous conference or to make changes in our Constitution and bylaws. Other actions require a simple majority unless specifically covered by Robert's Rules of Order. Voting choices are as follows: yes, no, or abstain. A council recommendation cannot be changed. Votes are cast by the delegates using either a show of hands or, in this case, meeting pulse, and a roll call of votes can be taken if requested by a delegate. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Dr. McSwain. And now I'd like to recognize Clifford Nutt, the Conference for Food Protection Executive Treasurer, to provide the Treasurer's report for the conference. Cliff?
Hi, everyone. The attendance at this year's conference was fantastic. It was 589. The attendance during our April workshop, which covered a variety of topics related to the theme, the impact of new food technologies and new foods of the food safety professional, was 359, which is another good turnout. I'd like to recognize a few entities and organizations that are very instrumental in making this conference a success. First is the Food and Drug Administration, whose sponsorship of CFP through a $50,000 small conference grant made it possible to support over 50 state and local regulatory attendees to attend with a registration subsidy, and also the assistance and the cost of this virtual platform. Second, I'd like to call your attention to the 48 national and local sponsors who contributed $174,450 to make this conference a success. And lastly, even though we were not able to be there, the Denver Local Arrangement Committee and the Denver local sponsors who support CFP. So please take the opportunity to thank these people. Our overall financial picture is in good shape. The CFP 2020 ending cash balance was $504,319. The 2021 projected ending balance is $460,000. Our financial reports, past and present, and current biennial budget is also posted on the CFP website. So if you have interest or further questions or want to review our financial documents, you can take a look at them there. The CFP website is foodprotect.org. And with that, I'll conclude my remarks.
Thank you, Cliff. So I would like to take care of a few housekeeping items at this time before we begin to conduct the business of the assembly. As stated earlier, an assembly delegate should raise their hand and be recognized by me, the conference chair, before speaking. The delegate should state their name and affiliation before speaking. If there's a voting delegate that wishes to recognize a speaker from the audience, the speaker from the audience must first have the voting delegate yield the floor and be recognized by the chair. That person in the audience would have requested to speak in the chat, and then that information be relayed for the delegate to recognize. And then I would recognize typically the offering of the time by the delegate to that person in the audience to speak to the issue. And that person from the audience must also state their name and their affiliation before speaking to the assembly. We are using meeting polls for this meeting. We've seen that used throughout our council sessions and in our election caucuses. And I want to make sure at this point, once again, that all the delegates have accessed the voting mechanism and that you will be ready to go when those polls are launched today. So first of all, I'd like to take a test of that. So could I have the conference direct team just do a test poll? And this will also, and I'm gonna do this in a certain way. So for the first test poll, because we have delegates with full votes, we have delegates with half votes. The respondents to the first, and this is how we're going to do all the motions using meeting polls. The first vote will be for only those who have a full vote. And then we'll redo the same thing, the same motion language for those that have half a vote. So make sure you know what you are in that. And then the parliamentarians are going to do their magic and tell us what the outcome of that vote is. So we're going to test this to begin with, and we'll see how it works. So conference direct, if you would initiate now I can't see this. So if the, okay, so 33 people have already voted. Thank you, Christine, for letting me know that. Does that correspond, parliamentarians, to the number of, or are we still, please let me know when the poll is closed. We usually allow 30 seconds for this with a countdown of 5 seconds before it ends. I think you all have been seeing this throughout this process. So if we were to close the poll now for all those having one vote, what is our outcome? If you'll display that. So we have 43 yeses. Does that correspond, Janet, to the number of full votes? Repeat this as, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so let's redo that, folks. I don't mean to be so informal with you, but let's redo that, delegates. So again, this poll is only for delegates who have a full vote, one vote. So if you have an agency, or if you have a state where there are two agencies, where there's half a vote for each of those delegates, then you should not be voting this poll. If you're one of the territories, District of Columbia, you should not be voting that poll. Has everyone, and I just want to make sure again that everybody is in the voting mechanism. I got a question from Conference Direct Support Team. So if anybody is not in that voting mechanism, please let me know. Raise your hand or something and let me know.
This is Bill Manley from New Jersey. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I logged myself out of it, so I'm trying to get back in.
Okay. So Bill, you would be able to access that, I hope soon. If everyone will just allow me to give Bill time to log back into that system, we want everyone to count. And Adam, I saw your note about the poll open quickly and people started putting in the responses before I said only for full. And Bill, if you'll let us know when you're back into that, please, Bill Manley. Thank you again, everyone, for your patience. The reason we're having to split this vote up like this is because Meeting Pulse did not have the ability to tally half votes.
I'm having a hard time to get back in. I apologize.
In the councils, I believe we would have that person indicate in the chat what their vote was, or check mark. So anyone that has difficulty with is not voting. And when you vote, I understand there is something that says your vote has been cast, should show up. So if you're not seeing that, so please, if I have a council member during the process who says, hey, I got this, I can explain it, please let me know. I will recognize you for sure.
David.
I don't have an
Janet. Can I
option to
verify?
click on the voting mechanism. I'm sorry.
So your option on the voting mechanism, you may have to go back. I think I heard Janet. You may have to go back to the actual agenda item where you clicked and opened today's Assembly of Delegates session. And once you open that, it was on that next screen that you should have seen the voting mechanism button.
That's what I was trying. That's what I've been trying to do, but it doesn't appear.
So someone else was speaking.
So David, when the voting mechanism opens, it opens as another tab in your browser. So you need to make sure that you're going back to your browser to look for the Meeting Pulse tab. So it will be a second tab for Meeting Pulse along with Zoom. So you're going to be typing between two tabs on your browser. That's how it worked with Council. Sorry, David.
And that's fine. And
David, I was going to say that during council sessions, we did have a few times where people were not able to use Meeting Pulse. We did use the green check reaction for those individuals and just added their vote to the Meeting Pulse tally.
now, Jim, do you have under the reactions at the bottom of your screen? If you take your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, do the reactions show where you have a check mark? Or have you identified what Keith Jackson was talking about, that the second browser opened when you activated the voting mechanism? You said the button was there for you.
Hey guys, I think I got in. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's test that out. So instructions again.
Apologies.
That's fine. We want to do this right. Instructions again. If you have a full vote, This is, now you're going to be the ones, the delegates, to cast your vote now when the poll is launched. So if conference director will launch the poll. And Janet, what is the number we're looking for as a result of this?
Well, we need to verify a couple of states on the roll call. Can
Okay,
you verify Hawaii?
for Hawaii, we were missing that delegate not to speak up. Did Peter or Shiro, did Peter join? David McSwain asked twice if you were on. So we have no one from Hawaii.
And Minnesota Department of Health?
That was Angela Wheeler. She is present.
Okay.
Yeah, but I only have a half vote.
She has
And
half.
Department of Ag?
Department of Ag is Jeff Ludeman.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jeff Ludeman, half vote.
Missouri?
Missouri is not present.
No.
Montana?
Jeffrey Havens did not reply to Dr. McSwain when he did roll call.
Okay. South Dakota?
No delegate from South Dakota.
Okay. See,
Mississippi, for
Commonwealth?
Mississippi, Serena Johnson didn't reply for Mississippi for State Department of Health. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Janet.
No. Mississippi Department of Health, you said no?
For Serena Johnson for State Department of Health for Mississippi did not reply unless she is joined.
Maybe where we're all, okay. And the Commonwealth? The territory?
Would you repeat? Would you repeat,
Um,
please?
Puerto Rico?
No delegate.
No delegate for Puerto Rico.
Guam?
Guam has a delegate.
Guam does, and the Commonwealth?
There are no delegates from any of the territories this year, Janet.
Oh, yeah, there's none.
Okay, so that helps us verify. Give us 1 second, please. Hold, please.
We'll probably have to run this again, but there's someone who marked abstain, but I guess they just wanted that they were able to vote, whether it was a yes, no, or abstain. You all know from the council sessions that this is the way it was having to be done in advance. And we have some new individuals who are not used to this meeting polls. So you can take down this poll because we're going to run it again. Thank you, Conference Direct support. So what I'm hoping Janet can tell us up front is exactly how many votes we should have for when you vote, when you have one vote, one whole vote. Yes, Julie, I'm gonna have you run the poll again, but I'm waiting for Janet to give us that number. So when it goes up on the screen, everybody's like, okay, gotcha.
So we should have 32 full votes.
All right.
I got 33.
Dave said, you may have heard Dave, if I'm not muting here, and he said he got
I heard him.
33.
Got to figure out who I missed then. Okay, the other parliamentarians have verified that it is 33. So we're good.
Okay. All right, so when we launch this poll, we get the results for those that have one whole vote as a delegate, then we should get a result of 33. No matter how you cast your vote, we should get a total of 33. So Julie, please cast the poll or post the poll. And checking with Bill Manley to make sure you were able to use that.
Yes, I was. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, we have from conference support, conference direct support, we have 32 as of now, where we needed 33. So we have someone who is not either not voting or the vote is not being counted. How are you figuring that out in council when that vote was missing? Oh, it's 33 now. Thank you. So everybody's done it. So sometimes there might be a delay, I guess. Okay, so we got the full vote test poll. Now
So-
we're going to go, I'm sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, David, just to answer your question, in council, if we missed votes, but we knew that the majority won, we just moved on.
Okay. All right. Okay. I don't want any of the delegates to think that their vote didn't matter, but if that's the way we can move forward and make progress on this. Excellent. Let's now do those, let's do a poll for the half votes. And Janet, can you tell me how many half votes we should receive?
We should see 29 half votes.
Thank you, Janet Williams. Excuse me. Well, Dave has different numbers on that.
Is my ink pen out of ink or what, Dave? What number do you have? Let me verify with the other two.
I'll explain to the delegates while it's going. So these will be, when it's shown the results of this vote, it's going to be a whole number. But Janet is going to take that number and divide by half. And then add it to the whole votes, or the full votes, I'm sorry. And then we're going to have the number across for yes, no's, and abstain. I hope that logic works for us and makes sense.
Janet, I had 26 half votes, and apparently Serena Johnson with Mississippi Department of Health is in fact trying to get into the meeting, so we're working with her now. So that would actually be 27 as I would count half votes.
Chair recognizes Sharon Wood.
I think that's where our challenge is. So we'll go with we'll know she's going to get in. We'll go with the 27. We should see 27 half votes, or 26, 27. It gives us 13.5.
So what's showing now is a result of 26 minus the one that is trying to log into the system. 26 makes it an even division. Sharon Wood, I had recognized you before you showed the results of the half vote.
Yes, the best practice that was used in council too, for some reason, for some individuals, the poll, they would vote, but it wouldn't register. It took till almost like a few 10, 15 seconds longer. So our best practice was before they posted, we would say the voting is closed, but did everyone get a chance to cast their vote? Please speak up if you could not. And it saved us trouble after going through that several times. And then we would see that some would pop in. But that might be a suggestion simply because we do want everybody's vote to be counted. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much, Sharon. All right, we've done our test. I think everybody understands. If you do not raise your hand, I'll recognize you. But I believe based on the test, this should work. All right, so let's bear it out. So traditionally, in order to keep the proceedings moving forward in a timely fashion, we like to limit the amount of debate on extracted issues, any extracted issues that occur through the process. I would like to limit the time dedicated to discussing issues and would therefore entertain a motion to do so. The motion is usually to limit debate on each issue to 10 minutes and each speaker to 2 minutes. The motion would need a second and a vote. And we would use meeting polls for that, and the conference direct team would be ready. So do I have a motion and a second? I have a motion from Adam Inman. I'm sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Mr. Chair, Adam Inman, Kansas Department of Agriculture. So moved.
Thank you, Adam. Christine Applewhite.
Applewhite, Connecticut Department of Public Health. I second.
Thank you. I have a motion from Adam Inman and a second from Christine Applewhite to limit debate on each issue to 10 minutes and each speaker to 2 minutes. Do I have any discussion on this motion before we proceed? I see no hands raised on my screen. I would like to proceed to the poll to vote on this motion. Again, we're doing the full votes first. First poll. Conference Direct, please launch the poll. If the parliamentarian would announce the 5-second.
Poll close.
Thank you. Please describe what display. So we have 41 voting yes of the full votes. Now we will restart the poll, but we're going to do this for the half votes. Getting some practice here. So those delegates with a half vote, you will use the next poll when she starts that. And we're going to practice the math. Again, this is the motion to limit debate 10 minutes and each speaker to 2 minutes.
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please. The poll is up on my screen. I can't see who's speaking. Please,
Adam Inman.
please go ahead.
Adam
Hi,
Inman.
Adam.
Hi, just wanted to clarify that was 40 votes out of on the 33 full.
Mhm.
So
Yes, I saw that. I saw that too. So
Thank
we're already off track with the. So, but I wanted to show the error that was being made here. So recall, we should have 30, when there's the total number of votes for the full votes, we should see 33. For the half votes, we should see a total votes being cast as 26 plus 1, if we can get the additional respondent for the half vote.
I made a mistake and voted on the full one. Tim Lane,
Okay.
Utah.
All right, well, I would like to read. I'm going to take the liberty as conference chair to launch the full vote poll again. Again, this is for delegates with a full vote. When you did the roll call, you told Dave Swain you had a full vote. Darby Greco, please ask your question. I know this is
Moving forward, could we just ask that the votes include the full vote or half vote in the title as we see depicted here? It was a little confusing.
Okay, we could do that.
Thank you.
This was a quick addition that Janet, Dr. McSwain and I talked about this morning. Originally, we had planned on casting as percentages, but we thought you would like to see whole numbers and work it this way. Has the full vote poll closed?
Closing the poll.
Okay. So we'll display the poll result of the poll. So again, we should see 33. Well, 30, we have 31. We have 2 who did not vote. Maybe there was confusion. But anyway, based on this, for the full vote, Janet, the result shows a pass for the full vote. Now we'll go to the half vote.
Yes.
And what I'm going to routinely do is I'm going to be asking Janet Williams, our parliamentarian, what the result of the poll is. So it's not biased by me at all. And that is her role to announce results. So now you should have a half vote poll for the motion to limit debate on each issue to 10 minutes and each speaker to 2 minutes. And if parliamentarian would also provide the 5-second poll will close.
I think Mike is keeping that time for us.
Thank you, Mike.
Correct.
Five seconds. Close poll.
Thank you. Now, on the delay, you were used the same delay. So we had 26. So that's good. And I don't know if the individual who was not able to access voting, Dave, was it they could not access voting or they could not get on the system at all? But anyway, what is the result of the
issue passes, Mr. Chair, with a majority of votes. Issue passes with the majority agreeing to 10 minutes for the issue and 2 minutes per speaker. I think that's what I wrote. Yes.
Thank you very much. Does anybody feel a need for any additional practice or I mean, we're going to be doing this throughout. Okay, I'm seeing some head shakes. We will help each other. That's what this is about. The whole process has been that. At this time, I would like to recognize Janet Williams, our lead parliamentarian. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, welcome everyone. And my name is Janet Williams. I am going to operate as the lead parliamentarian for this year's CFP biennial meeting. And hopefully my old school math will be working for me. So have some patience. I know that most of you, if not all, attended the orientation session that we had for the delegates that was held on August the 13th. Many of you have been delegates at previous biennial meetings, but some of you are new. So it was great to see all of you. And I hope that everyone learned a lot during the biennial meeting, and I thank you for attending. Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum. There are, as we just figured out, there are 33 full votes. There are 13 half votes for get my math together. 6. For a quorum, and for 2/3, we need 30.6, which we'll round to 31 votes for a 2/3 vote. So the way that the council work is that each council chair will present their council's recommendation, one council by one council. Each report will have 2 parts, except for Council 2, which will have 3 parts. So part 1 of the council report will be the affirmative recommendations. These are those that the vote's outcome was either accepted as submitted or accepted as amended. Part 2 of their report will be the negative recommendations, and these will be the outcomes of the council deliberations that ended in no action. In Council 2, there's a 3rd part, and that part of the report will contain all of the recommendations, whether they are positive or negative, for changes to the bylaws. We have to break those out in council report because they require a 2/3 vote. Everything else will be done by a majority vote. So once that the council chair gives their report, then we will vote by each part. As I explained in the orientation, when the chair gives their report, they will explain how many issues that they had that they received an affirmative vote, those that were accepted as submitted or as amended, and then they will stop. The chair of the CFP will come up and he will begin the voting process. The chair will start by asking if there are any issues that need to be extracted. And as we talked about, to extract an issue, you need to unmute, raise your hand, unmute your mic, and be able to state your name and your affiliation, followed by the statement such as, Mr. Chair, I would like to extract issue number 2-2020-4. And then please mute your mic again. And that allows us to extract all of those issues from that bundle. And those will be deliberated separately, one by one, in the order that they appear from that assigned council. All other issues that are not extracted will be voted on as a block. The chair will ask for a motion, and that motion would be to accept the council's recommendation for all the issues that were not extracted. There must be a second, and then you will vote on those issues as a block. And remember, a yes means that you agree with the council's recommendation. A no vote means that you do not agree with the council's recommendation. So we can't tell you how to vote, but typically if you don't agree with the council recommendation for any particular issue, you would have already extracted that issue because you think it needs more information. Be mindful that you're voting on all the remaining issues as a block. So if you vote no for that first vote, that means you don't agree with anything that the council did, that all of their hard work just went down the tubes and, you know, it was just for naught. And recall that the councils and their committees, many of you who've sat on those councils and committee, you did a lot of hard work this year. And so what we will do is after the vote on those blocks, and then we will consider the extracted issues one by one. The chair will call for a motion, and the motion will say, Mr. Chair, I move to accept the council's recommendations on that particular issue that is being extracted. And when you do that, please do the council and the issue number that keeps us all on track. That must have a second. And the reason that we do that is because we have to get into the discussion mode. We have to put this issue onto the table for discussion, and that's just the language that we use. Again, Mr. Chair, I move to accept the council recommendation so that that particular issue being extracted can be discussed. You're not committing yourself. We're just getting it to the table so we can talk about it. Okay? Then you can raise your hand if you wish to speak, and when called upon, unmute your mic, state your name, your affiliation, and then you can speak to the extracted issue. And remember, the information must be pertinent to accept or not accept the council recommendations. You will be out of order if you start to speak to the merits of the issue itself. And not that we want to, but we will call you out of order. Okay, so stick to why we should or should not accept the order. You will make sure that you stay in order. Okay, you voted previously to limit discussion to 10 minutes total or 2 minutes per speaker. So be mindful of your moderation. And we'll be keeping track of the time. You can also use your time to call from someone else from the audience to speak. You would need to ask the chair to recognize a particular person, and they must state their affiliation. That person needs to unmute their mic, state their name and their affiliation, and then they can come into the record. Part 2 of the report will be the no actions. And this is the part that people tend to get confused on, so I'm going to go a little slower on that. And these are the negative recommendations that came from the council. The process is essentially the same, but it's kind of counterintuitive to what they mean. You will have an opportunity to extract, again, pull out those issues that you would like to discuss individually from the no actions, meaning we think that we need more merit to talk about this. If you vote yes for an extracted issue, then you choose to extract and discuss, and that means that you agree with the council recommendation. If you vote no, then that means that you do not agree with the council's recommendation. Those issues that recommend no actions and are voted no by the assembly will be sent to the executive board. So if a no action has a no vote and you say no, that means we don't agree with the council's recommendation of a no vote, and therefore it's going to the executive board for resolution. If you vote no on the part 1 issues, which is the affirmative ones, that means that the issue will receive no further action at this time. So if you vote no on the no action, then it dies. So I'm going to ask if there are any questions from any delegates about that, because I know we went kind of fast and it's kind of hard in a virtual environment. Just keep remembering, when you vote, you're voting on the council's recommendations, not on the merit of the issue. So talk to yourself in your head and say, do I agree with the council's recommendation or not? Okay. I think you're muted, David.
Jessica McNally.
Hi, thank you. Is there a cheat sheet or somewhere where you could have this in writing?
I have my cheat sheet. I'm not understanding how we would give it to you right now.
Okay.
We did have a slide in the Assembly orientation presentation. There's a slide that covers this for extracted issues. But I wish if I could jump over that quickly and pull it over and put it in the chat. But what we'll do is for that, we'll just readdress. Janet, could we just readdress it if we get to that point?
Yes, and we can drop that in chat too. Michael or Belinda, would one of you all drop that in chat, please? So the no actions. This means that the council recommended that we're not going to take any action on this issue. So say you don't pull them out. If you vote no, then that means you don't agree with the council recommendation to take no action. You think that there should be action taken. Like, we don't agree with that. And because there is a disagreement with the council's recommendation, that would be, you vote no, that you don't agree with the council recommendation, and that would go to the executive board for deliberation. If you vote yes, then you agree with the council's recommendation that no action is appropriate and the issue stands as it is, no action on it. Does that help, Jessica?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and note to self, next year we'll put something together, a cheat sheet for this. That's if they have us back.
Ann Johnson, you have your hand raised.
Thank you, David. I was just going to say that there is an explanation on page 16 of the biennial meeting conference procedures. So you can access that in the pathable about the no action extracted issues, if that helps anyone.
And again, we will do our best to clarify that if we get to that point during the Assembly's deliberation process. At this, I was just looking at a chat thing.
So if there are no other questions, then we can go on to start recognizing council chair. I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Janet. So let's begin. We will begin with Council One's report provided by Ann Johnson.
Thank you, David. I'd like to start off by saying it's been an honor and a privilege to serve here for Council One. Any success and praise for the work of the council, I would happily share with my Vice Chair, Tom McMahon, as well as the council members and council alternates. They all diligently studied and deliberated all 35 issues that we had in council. We wouldn't have been able to complete our work without the dedication and commitment of our scribe, Liz Doer, our parliamentarian, Belinda Clifton, and our amazing Council One members. I'd also like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our conference direct support team, Valerie Franzen, Lisa Furla, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names, and Kim Strubble. They were instrumental in keeping us going. Last but not least, I want to thank my fellow chairs, Sharon and Keith. I enjoyed working with you and establishing the virtual rules of engagement so that we could harmonize all three councils. Council 1 was tasked to deliberate 35 issues. 4 of our issues were sent to Council 3 to deliberate. In Council 1 deliberation, 2 committees were created and assigned to Council 1. The first committee will be charged to determine if it would be appropriate to place language in the food code to address regulatory authority for foodborne illness investigations and to obtain consumer purchase history from establishments, and if found to be appropriate, to craft such language. The second committee will be charged to continue the work of the CFP-ISSC Joint Committee on Shellfish and develop guidance documents for foodborne illness outbreak investigations and best practices for traceability. The first part of my report is as follows. In summary, there were 6 issues that were accepted as submitted and 10 issues that were accepted as amended, for a total of 16 affirmative issues that came out of Council 1. Those are listed in your Council 1 submissions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann Johnson. At this time, would anyone of the Assembly like to extract any issues from Council 1's Part 1 report? So hearing none, I'd like to move on to take a vote. I need to have a motion and a second to accept Part 1 of Council 1's report, and we're going to do that in the full vote and then the half vote. Do I have? Okay, I have Sandra Craig.
I would like to make a motion to accept the report of Council 1 on the first part of the issues.
Thank you, Sandra. Christine Applewhite.
I would like to second that motion.
So we have a motion, a second on the floor. Let's accept Part 1 of Council 1's report. Any discussion on the motion? I'm going to do the key 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hearing no discussion, we're going to move into the vote on this motion. The first poll will be for those delegates with a full vote. Please launch the poll. Feels like a long 30 seconds, doesn't it?
My bad. I couldn't unmute. Time. I'm pushing the button. Sorry, guys. My apologies. Time.
All right, so we have 32 yeses for a full vote. And again, the parliamentarian will announce the final results of this. So now we're going to cast the poll. We're going to put the poll up for the half vote on the motion to accept Part 1 of Council 1 report.
Need some Jeopardy music.
You want to do that? I love that you all have very good attitude about things. We all have had a really good week.
5 seconds. Close polls.
Conference Direct will post result. Okay. Except the parliamentarian will formally announce the results of the poll.
Do we have the number of the half votes?
It's 26.
26, okay, great. Motion passes by majority.
Thank you. And if you would move on to part 2 of your report, please.
Yes, there were 15 issues that Council 1 recommended no action. Thank you.
What is the will of the Assembly delegates regarding part 2 of Council 1 report? Joanna De Francisco,
I move that we accept the council's recommendations.
thank you. I have a motion
Point
from Joe.
Point of order. Point of
Yes.
order. Did we need to request if there were any extractions?
You are correct, Troy. You did it. Okay,
Thank you.
I'll pull that back. My problem. We'll fix this then. Do I have any issues for the Assembly to extract from part 2 of the Council 1 report? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See none. Now, if it go, thank you, Troy. Go on to the will of the Assembly for this part 2 of Council 1 report.
I move to accept the council's recommendations as submitted.
Thank you, Joanna. Sandra Craig.
And I second that motion.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion from Joanna and a second from Sandra to accept part 2 of Council 1's report as submitted. Do I have any discussion on the motion? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm seeing no discussion. We will move to the vote on the motion to accept part 2 of Council 1's report. Please proceed to the full vote poll and launch. I feel like it's a rocket. And Mike Ante will keep track of the seconds for us.
5 seconds left. Close polls.
Thank you. So this will be the full poll result, full vote poll. All right. If we will now go to the half vote poll.
Are the polls open?
Poll open.
Five seconds left. Close polls.
Jennifer Hudson, I did notice your comment in the chat, and I'm going to ask the opinion of the Assembly on that. Following the announcement of by the parliamentarian, what the result of this motion is.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes by the majority.
Thank you. So to the Assembly of Delegates, I have a concern by one of the delegates that by putting up on the screen the results to public view of the full votes may influence the outcome of the half votes. So I would ask if we could delay, just, I don't know how Conference Direct can do this. Please let me know if you could delay displaying the results of both of those until after both polls are resulted.
I can do that. Yep.
Okay.
Just,
is there
open and close announcements on the full vote and open and close announcements on the half vote, and then I will display both.
Is there anyone of the delegates that does not support this request from one of your fellow delegates? Seeing none. Thank you very much, Ann Johnson, and to Joetta De Francesco for your excellent leadership of Council One. I'm sorry, Tom McMahon. You have to forgive me today. I've had a long morning. I think you all have too. But Ann Johnson and Thomas McMahon, who calls me David Lawrence. Just for the
No
record.
worries. We've got lots of similarities.
Yeah. And I have a script in front of me and I'm trying to do multiple tasks. And it's very difficult sometimes to multiple task. So if I could at this time have Sharon Wood, the chair of Council 2, where Joetta is Council 2 vice chair, to present Council 2's report, part 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. It has been a true honor and quite rewarding experience serving as chair of Council 2. I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to Council 2 Vice Chair Joetta De Francesco, Parliamentarian Michael Ante, our scribe Kathy Hosman, the Council 2 members, to include all of our voting constituency experts, our regulatory consultants, and all constituency alternates. I also greatly appreciate our council reporters who serve to keep our council activities updated online. Without a doubt, Council 2 maintained the spirit of this conference to consider and respect the opinions of all food safety stakeholders and constituencies represented. We also worked hard to put first-time issue submitters and presenters at ease and help them feel comfortable with the deliberation process and to prioritize proper education on each issue with the goal of obtaining consensus. With this new online format, I believe we should all be proud of how we have conducted all council deliberations. This has been a new challenge that we have all embraced, and in my opinion, have executed with professionalism and in a way that is in the true spirit of the conference, which has resulted in a very efficacious outcome of issue deliberation. And lastly, I want to recognize and thank my fellow Council 1 Chair, Ann Johnson, and Council 3 Chair, Keith Jackson, as well as our CFP leadership. It was an honor and an adventure to work tirelessly beside you to prepare for this virtual conference, and I admire you all. Assembly members, in Council 2, we had a total of 34 issues, including one late-breaking issue from the Constitution, Bylaws, and Procedures Committee. After this conference completion, including our standing committees, we had 2 committees that were reinstated and 4 new committees formed. Part 1 of the Council 2 report indicates the affirmative issues. 27 issues were accepted as submitted or accepted as amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. We'll start with any extracted issues from part 1 of Council 2's report by the Assembly. Do I have any extractions?
Five seconds. Time.
Okay. What is the will of the delegates regarding part 1 of Council 2's report? Sean Dunleavy.
Yes, Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the issues as presented by Council 2 Chair.
For part 1. Thank you, Sean.
Part 1.
Jeff Ludeman.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to accept part 1 of Council 2's report. Do we have any discussion on the motion? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6.
5 seconds. I'm counting for you, man.
Yeah, he is.
Time's
Mike's
up.
got it. All
Time
right,
up.
there is no discussion. We will move to the vote on the motion to approve part 1 of Council 2's report. And this time we're going to, again, we're going to launch the poll, do the full vote, then we're going to do the half vote poll, and then we'll show the results afterwards. So thank you, Jennifer Hudson, for pointing out that to us.
Launch poll. Five seconds. Close poll for full vote.
We will now launch the half vote poll for part 1 of Council 2 report to accept as submitted to the assembly.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
Have Conference Direct will display the results of the full and then the half and full vote and then the half vote, and the parliamentarian will announce the results after doing her quick math. So that full vote. And then a half vote.
Thank you, delegates, for making this easy for me. Mr. Chair, we have a majority vote. The issue passes.
Thank you very much. Sharon Wood, if you'll now give part 2 of Council 2's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Part 2 of the Council 2's report has 2 issues that were deliberated by the council with no actions. Thank you.
Do I have any extracted issues to be extracted from part 2 of Council 2 report? Remember, Mike's doing a countdown for us in the background.
Time up.
Thank you, Mike. So I would entertain a motion and a second to accept part 2. I have Christine Applewhite appearing first on the screen. Christine.
I move to accept the issues in part 2 of Council 2.
Jamie Higley.
Jamie Higley, Ohio Department of Health. I second the motion.
So I have a motion from Christine Applewhite and a second from Jamie Higley to accept part 2 of Council 2 report as accepted. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Time up.
Hearing no discussion, let's proceed to the vote. We'll do it just the same as we've been doing. We'll do the full vote. Launch.
Start. Five seconds. Close poll.
We will now do the half votes. When Conference Direct is ready, please launch the poll.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
Once Conference Direct is ready, they'll display the results of the poll, followed by the half, allowing time for the parliamentarian to capture the information. We're ready for the half vote to be displayed. Janet Williams, the result of, I know you're just checking your math, but the results.
It is a majority vote, Mr. Chair. The issue passes.
Thank you very much. We will now have Sharon Wood present part 3 of of Council 2's report. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Assembly, as you might remember, Part 3 of the Council 2 report is for issues dealing with the Constitution and bylaws. There were a total of 5 issues that were accepted. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegates, are there any issues that you wish to extract from Part 3 of Council 2's report for the Constitution and bylaws?
Seconds. Close.
Thank you. That said, do I have a motion and a second to accept Part 3 of Council 2's report for the Constitution and bylaws issues? I have Adam Inman.
Chair Adam Inman, Kansas Department of Agriculture. I move that we accept Part 3 of Council 2's report as submitted.
Thank you. Troy Huffman.
Troy Huffman, State of Colorado, Department of Health. Second that motion.
Thank you. I have a motion from Adam Inman and a second from Troy Huffman to accept Part 3 of Council 2's report for the Constitution and bylaws issues. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Five seconds. Time up.
Thank you. Since there is no discussion on the motion, we will proceed to the vote on the motion to accept Part 3 of Council 2's report, the Constitution and bylaws issues. Please initiate the full vote poll.
Five seconds. Close poll.
Thank you. Now we will launch the half vote poll.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
When you're ready, Conference Direct, to share the full followed by the half, allowing time for the parliamentarian.
Mr. Chair, the issue passes by a majority.
Thank you, Janet Williams. I had Dave McSwain had mentioned that Serena Johnson may have joined us, but I'm not seeing her in the system. So at this time, I would like for Dr. Keith Jackson to present Council 3's reports.
Good afternoon, Assembly. Good morning to my friend Kimberly Stryker in Alaska and folks on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us. It's my privilege to present to you the accomplishments of Council 3. Before I do so, I'm going to take a little bit of liberty with my thanks. On Thursday, we literally took our last vote 15 seconds before we were booted out of Conference Direct. So I did not get to thank some individuals and some groups that I know my colleagues did. So I'm going to take a little bit of liberty to thank those folks today. It will not take me long to do so. First, I would like to thank Conference for Food Protection, Dave McSwain, Vicki Everly, David Lawrence, Brenda Bacon, the Executive Board, and Davine Sirocco Smith. A small part of me wonders why on earth you gave me this opportunity to be council chair, but the bigger part of me is very happy and grateful that you did. So thank you for that. Next, Council 3 audience, thank you for attending and watching our deliberations. On Thursday night, when we ran into the extra session, we actually had almost 200 people in the session, and someone in the chat room actually texted, "This is better than reality TV. You know who you are," and I thank you for that compliment. Next, I want to thank our issue submitters. I want to thank Becky and Patrick. I prefer to call you all solution creators instead of issue submitters. When you can get a group of people from all over the country together to spend hours and days discussing iron skillets, reusable food containers, expelled air, it means that you obviously love what you do. And when you love what you do, you want to make it better. And that's what CFP is all about. I also want to thank my Council 3 alternates, specifically Debbie Pickle, Jean Edsall, Eric Moore, our runners. Thanks for waiting patiently and attentively in the wings. I wish I could have made you all voting members, but after the craziness of Council 3, you're probably glad you weren't in that position. And for that, I say, you're welcome. My voting members on Council 3, you are 20 people I will never forget. You are all smart, passionate, and fun, which are required characteristics to be in my professional inner circle. And I welcome you to my professional inner circle. And thank you for being a part of Council 3 with me. Our federal consultants on Council 3, Christy, Gervin, and Don, having the opportunity to hear your wisdom and expertise live was amazing. And being able to call you by your first name is going to be an honor I'll have for a lifetime. Thank you for being with us. Sharon, Ann, Joetta, and Tom. Wow, we did it. Here we are. It's about to be over. Brent Higgs, Janet Williams, my parliamentarians, Sally Bourne, my scribe, my tribe, conference direct, Jessica, Valerie, Eva, and Megan, you were the wheels and you were the brakes for this blue car, and we needed you to get down the road, and we thank you for it. And then last, Christine Applewhite, I turn the carnival music over to you. It is yours, and you will kill it in 2023. Thank you so much. So with that being said, Council 3, the initial issues that were submitted to us, we had 34. We had 2 late breaking issues that were accepted by the CFP Executive Board and were assigned to Council 3, giving us a total of 36. During council deliberation, our friends on Council 1 transferred 4 issues over to Council 3, which gave us a total of 40 issues to deliberate on Council 3. For the first part of the Council 3 report to the Assembly, I'm specifically giving you, of the 40 that we deliberated, the 25 issues that were accepted. 11 were accepted as submitted. 14 were accepted as amended. These are all referenced in your issues packets. And this includes work from 3 CFP committees and 1 ad hoc committee, which had worked over the past 2 years. All of those issues were accepted by the council. And I point that out because we do have issues that call for the creation of 4 new committees to move forward into the next biennium. So David, that concludes the first part of Council 3 report to the Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. I had a raised hand from someone that showed on the screen, but I'm not sure what that was. Tim Lane, I would like to address any question you have before I proceed to ask.
No, I would just like to extract 3-27.
Are there any other issues that the delegates would like to extract from part 1 of Council 3's report? So I'd like to know the will of the delegates on the remaining issues in part 1. I'm sorry. Okay, Sandra Craig.
Point of order, don't we need a motion to second the extraction?
That's what I was going to ask the parliamentarian. Janet, when we haven't extracted, we need a second on the extraction for issue 3027.
Yes.
Yes, so I will. Thank you, Sandra Craig. You're very experienced with the process. Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion on the extraction of issue?
Tim Lane did that.
Tim Lane, you had made the motion. Do I have a second? Do I have a second on the motion to extract issue 3027 from part 1 of Council 3 report? Susan Leverton.
Susan Leverton, California Department of Public Health. I second the motion.
So I have a motion and a second to extract issue 327 from the Council 3's part 1 report. I'll entertain to accept part 1 of Council 3's report minus the extracted issue 3027. Do I have a motion and a second? Christine Applewhite.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to accept part 1 of Council 3's report with the extraction of issue 3-.
Thank you. Jamie Higley.
Jamie Higley, Ohio Department of Health. As a proud member of Council 3, I second the motion.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second to accept part 1 of Council 3's report minus the extracted issue 2020-3027. Do I have discussion on that motion?
Oh, I'm sorry. On one
5 seconds.
discussion on that.
Tim Lane, your mic is open, Tim.
Time.
Thank you. So no discussion. We will proceed on the vote on the motion to accept part 1 of Council 3's report minus the extracted issue 3027. We will initiate the full vote poll first. Dave, after this, do I go
5
to
seconds.
extract it first or go to
Yeah,
go to the extract for part 1 first?
Yeah, before you go to part
Part
2.
2.
Close poll.
Thank you. Now we'll do the half vote poll.
Five seconds. Close poll.
Thank you. The conference direct is ready. We'll post the poll. And a half.
Mr. Chair, the issue passes by majority to accept part 1 minus the extracted issue 3-2020-27.
Thank you, Janet. Now I'd like to entertain a motion, a second, to bring extracted issue 3027 to the floor for discussion. Do I have a motion and a second to bring that to the floor for discussion? And Janet, I understand this has to happen in order for this to,
Yes.
I have a motion, I believe, from Sandra Craig.
I will make a motion to bring the extracted issue to the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Sandra. I saw if I would have a second on that motion. If I do,
I second the motion.
would you announce who you are, please?
I'm sorry, Phyllis Finn, Alabama Department of Public Health.
So I have a motion and a second to bring issue 3027 to the floor for discussion. And we vote on that motion? Or do we, Janet, I'm going to need clarification. This is my
Go to
first extracted
discussion.
issue.
You go to discussion.
Go to discussion on the motion.
Yeah.
To extract. Do I have any discussion on the motion to extract issue 3027, which is now, we have a motion, a second, and the issue's on the floor.
Excuse me, Chair. Do we need to raise our hands to discuss it?
Yes, I'm just having, I don't know. I cannot see your hand for some reason. Jamie has his hand raised.
Yeah, my hand's raised too.
Tim had his raised first, so I'll let him go first.
Okay, go ahead, Tim. Tim, would you state your name and?
My mistake, I hit the mute. Tim Lane, Utah Department of Agriculture and Food. Issue 27, when it was discussed in council, they said that the definition of tepid water was 85 to 110 degrees. But if I look at ANSI's definition of tepid water, it's 60 to 100 degrees. There's too many different organizations have a different idea of what tepid water is. I think as a council or a conference, we need to come out with something that is more standard that everybody can use. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, do you have your camera on? I think that might be why you're not showing up on my screen.
I don't know if I have the camera on or not, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, that's what's going on, because if you had your camera on, you would appear on my screen. Thank you. Jamie Higley, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, so I'll just speak to the discussion. I was on Council 3, and the definition for tempered water does have a definition in the International Building Code. I believe it was brought up by the FDA representative that temperature is 85 to 100 degrees. Council spent a lot of time deliberating this and put a lot of work into it. We had consensus. We had no objections from the FDA on this change. And I would definitely not be in favor of extracting this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Now, Adam Inman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Adam Inman, Kansas Department of Agriculture. I personally find it interesting that if we are adopting a term that has a range in different references, that we not just put that range directly in the code provision. It would seem to be the simplest and the best. That said, I understand that there's a lot more process before this change may or may not be included in the food code. And I think that this is a good path forward to try to advance a conversation, and I respect the deliberations on Council 3 as I heard them described. And so I would not support extraction of this issue.
Christine Applewhite.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to add that during the discussions, our FDA consultant did mention that using this term in this section would most likely result in FDA needing to define the word tepid within the code, and that would be something that they would be willing to do, I believe is what he said. So I would not support an extraction of this based on that.
Don Schaffner.
Yes, thank you
Oh,
for recognizing me,
Actually,
Chair.
yes, so I'm recognizing, I'm recognizing you from the audience, Don.
Thank you for recognizing me, Chair. Don Schaffner, Rutgers University, proud member of Council 3. I think there is a little bit of confusion. The exact language is we're using the word tempered, okay, which is defined in the plumbing code. I believe the person objecting to the issue is talking about tepid, not tempered. Those are different words, and the ANSI definition is for tepid, not tempered. So let's be very clear about the words that we're using. Thank you.
I have Phyllis. Finn.
Alabama, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Phyllis Finn with the Alabama Department of Public Health. My comments to the extracted issue are hand washing, we all agree, is one of those very important aspects that's connected to the risk factors. And I listened to all the deliberation, and a lot of people talked about the science of the temperature of the water not being a factor as far as the water and soap working. My issue is that in an effort to be transparent to industry, I think there should be a number and not a term like tempered. I just think that my inspectors are going to have a hard time if they mark somebody off pointing to a word instead of a number. Also, as an older person, it is more comfortable to wash my hands in warm water than it is cold water. We all know that it is 20 seconds is a long time. We know that people are food employees, that the temptation is just to do a flyby, rinse and flick and go. And I think it would be more conducive for people to wash their hands the appropriate amount of time if the water is set to a temperature that is nice to them. And so I am in favor of not amending the food code. So I don't know how to term that. I guess I'm in favor of extracting that issue.
Mr. Chair, you have 1.5 minutes left of discussion time.
Thank you. Melissa Vaccaro.
Thank you for recognizing me, Melissa Vaccaro with Industry. And I was a proud member of Council 3 as well. We did spend a lot of time talking about whether there should be numbers in there. For the sake of time and being that we did not have the plumbing code numbers in front of us exactly, FDA understood what our intent was and the use of the term tempered coming from the plumbing code. And their comment was, we can work with that and we would have to be defining it. So the term tempered would end up from what my understanding was, the word tempered would end up getting defined with a temperature range associated with it. Thank you.
Justin Latham.
Hi, Justin Latham with Wyoming Department of Agriculture. I just wanted to bring to the attention that I believe that ANSI regulation was brought up was actually in reference to eye wash stations and not hand washing.
Thank you, Justin. Do I have any other discussion? I've now changed my view to pick up people who do not have their cameras on. Justin, you may lower your hand unless you have a follow-up point. Chair recognizes Don Schaffner.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So just to be clear, in our discussions of the word tempered, we discovered that the plumbing code defines that as between 85 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. So as noted, FDA would need to define tempered in the code, but there is a temperature associated with it. And I would submit that 85 is probably pretty comfortable for washing your hands. That's my
Chair,
opinion.
we're out
Thank
of
you, Mr.
time.
Chair.
Mr. Chair, we're out of time.
We're out of time. If we wish to continue debate, I'll need a motion to suspend the rules and add time. Do we have that motion and a second? Yeah, I'm
Be
not-
calling
I'm
for the
not-
question.
Okay, we are going to, I think in the council sessions we experienced, we did go to a call to quit. Tim Lane and then Jill Ball. What, are you making a motion to
Yes, sir.
suspend the rules?
Yes, sir. I'm making a motion that we extend time for 10 minutes.
Okay, to 10 minutes. So we're with a motion made by Tim Lane to suspend the rules and a debate for 10 additional minutes. Do I have a second? If I have no second, we are going to proceed to vote on the motion. I'm looking at the vice chair of the conference. I'm seeing no second. Chair decision to move to vote, and here's what we're voting on. Let me get it straight. We're going to vote on a motion to accept council's recommended action for extracted issue 2023-027. And if the parliamentarian at this time would explain what is going to be happening here. This is for those who need that refresher.
This is the issue to accept the council's recommendation. If you agree with the council recommendation, you would vote yes. If you disagree with the council's recommendation, you would vote no. We're giving issue 27 more love than the other issues.
Adam Inman.
Point of information, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, if we vote to not accept, if we vote no, we do not accept the council's recommendation, then the issue dies. Is that correct?
That is correct, Adam.
If a majority of people vote no, the issue dies.
Your hand went back up, Adam. So we'll now display the full vote poll. Again, this is on the motion to accept the council's recommended Council 3's recommended action for extracted issue 2023-027.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
Now we will post we'll have the half vote. We'll launch the half vote on the motion to accept Council 3's recommended action for extracted issue 2023-027.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
Thank you, Mike. Now if we could have the full vote and then the half vote and allow the parliamentarian time to do their calculation. Now this is being displayed in percentages.
Yeah, David, I can give you a count after this. That was just a
Okay.
setup.
All right. But we kind of get the idea from this. It's
Yeah.
91% of the full votes. So did you say that you could provide that in whole numbers?
Yeah, I just need to change a setting after this.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, there was a majority of votes to accept the council's recommendation for issue 2020-27.
Thank you, Janet. Keith, we will now proceed to part 2 of Council 3's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the second part of Council 3's report, the council has recommended taking no action on 15 issues of the 40 that were deliberated as are referenced in your assembly packet.
Thank you, Keith. Do I have any assembly members who wish to extract any issues from part 2 of Council 3's report? And if you extract, I will need a second. Mike's probably doing our countdown.
5 seconds. Time.
Okay. What is the will of the assembly regarding part 2 of Council 3's report? Joe Graham.
Joe Graham, Washington State Department of Health. So moved.
Travis Morris.
Travis Morris, Florida Department of Health. I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to accept part 2 of Council 3's report. Is there any discussion on the motion? Joe, you have your hand raised. Okay, good, thank you. That's
5 seconds. Time.
We will proceed to the vote on the motion to accept part two of Council 3's report. We'll launch the full vote poll, please.
Five seconds. Please close polls.
Thank you. We will now launch the half vote poll on the motion to accept part 2 of Council 3's report.
Five seconds. Please close poll.
I love the way Mike says that. You seem to be missing one from that. Now we can show the half vote. I think Janet's got pretty good at this now.
Mr. Chair, there is a majority of acceptance for part 2 of Council 3's report. The issue passes.
Thank you all very much. We have really just completed a very important process in the conference biennial meeting process. So thank you very much.
Can I be unprofessional and say, woo woo?
That's right. Yes, it definitely demonstrates what the council chairs were speaking to about the consensus building process that occurred in your council sessions and the work done outside of that as you all collaborated for solutions to problems that were identified. So thank you very much. I would like to at this time, so that concludes our voting on the issues. So thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Chirag Bhatt. Chirag is the chair of the Resolutions Committee for this year's biennial meeting. Chirag. Has anyone heard anything?
He's here. He's supposedly in the.
Chirag,
Thank you, Mr. Chair,
Okay, thank you.
and good afternoon to each and every one of you. Maybe good morning to some. I'd like to start first by thanking the members of our resolution committee, Michael Roberson and Steve Morris. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your participation. First, I'd like to recognize the outstanding staff at Conference Direct. We have worked with Jessica Likens, Valerie Franzen, Karen Pina, and the other outstanding staff at Conference Direct. They have provided exceptional service in planning and managing our 2020 or 2021 biennial meeting virtually. Their guidance and support were essential to the success of our biennial meeting. Next, I'd like to recognize the council scribes for their outstanding service in support of the three council, Lise Dorr, Catherine Postman, and Sally Bourne. They played a significant role in posting information that was required during each council during the deliberation. Their efforts were instrumental to aid the council with the vetting of those issues. Next, I'd like to recognize 55 sponsors of the meeting. We had 4 different sponsor levels, and I'd like to read through them very quickly. And if those of you that are the sponsors, and if you are attending at this time, when I read your name out, please be sure to turn your camera on and wave at everybody so everyone can recognize and appreciate you. There were 15 companies supported the conference at the titanium level. Association of Food and Drug Officials, ChemStar, Darden Restaurants, Diversey, Ecolab, FMI, Matrix Sciences, the National Environmental Health Association, National Registry of Food Safety Professionals, National Restaurant Association or ServSafe, NSF International, Procter & Gamble Professional, Publix Supermarket, where shopping is a pleasure, State Food Safety, Yum Brands. The next level is our gold level sponsors. We had 16 sponsors in this category. Amazon, the Association of Food and Drug Officials of Southern States, or AFDOS, Compass Group, Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, Giant Eagle Incorporated, Gojo Industry, Harris Teeter, International Association for Food Protection, or IAFP, Meyer Incorporated, NAMA, or National Automatic Merchandising Association, Prometric, Restaurant Depot, Sheets Incorporated, Sodexo, Testo North America, and Wegmans. The next level is our silver level sponsors. We had 12 sponsors in this category, and they are Chick-fil-A, City of Aspen, CKE Restaurants, Inc., In-N-Out Burger, King Soopers, Remco Products, Restaurant Brands International, or RBI, Southeastern Grocers, Stereotech, Underwriter Laboratories, or UL, Wakefern Food Corporation, and Wawa. Again, if the representative from these companies are in the audience, be sure to wave at the crowd. We had 4 bronze level sponsors that were this year in our conference. The Colorado Environmental Health Association, or CEHA, Hazel Analytics, Pastor Training Inc., and Whole Foods Market. Last, but by no means least, I would like to recognize our 2 service donors for the 2020 conference. Ecolab, they made a donation to help cover the cost of the Pathable platform that we have used to present the meeting. And Testo North America made a donation to help cover the cost of our mobile app the attendify for this meeting. Again, if representatives are present, please wave and be recognized. Our conference will mail their resolution following our biennial meeting. Our next two resolutions are dedicated to memorialize individuals who have donated their career in food safety and public health. First, we honor Waukesha Brown Timely, who passed away in late 2020. She was an employee of the Florida Department of Health. She was an active member of CFP, and she embraced the spirit of CFP's mission. In 2019, the food safety community lost one of its most widely recognized figures, Dr. O.P. Snyder. The executive board approved a resolution for Dr. Snyder in March 2019, and the resolution was shared and sent to his family. At this time, we are requesting approval of that resolution so it can be also incorporated into the proceedings for this meeting. The next individual is completing her second successive 6-year term on the executive board. Dr. Donna Guerin with the American Frozen Food Institute has been a loyal board member for 12 years. To many of you, 12 years doesn't seem like a long time, but to a board member, it can seem like a lifetime. Donna has served the conference with distinction. In addition to representing the constituent group that she served, a number of other capacities over the years. Donna has always been a willing volunteer who takes responsibility seriously and performs her duties to the best of her ability. Next, I'd like to offer resolution to recognize our two issue chairs, Becky Vogt and Patrick Guzzle. Becky is with Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, and Patrick is with the National Restaurant Association. Most conference members don't understand and appreciate how important and difficult the role of the issue chair is for the success of our biennial meeting. With each biennial meeting, the number of issues that are submitted for consideration remain high. The issue chairs play a significant role in reviewing these issues and getting them into a form that is appropriate for council deliberation. They both have done an incredible job of streamlining the process, but in many ways, it gets more complicated. And this year, I know there were many challenges, but both of them did an outstanding job. And on behalf of the entire membership of the Conference for Food Protection, we thank you, Becky and Patrick, for your tireless efforts. At this time, I'll turn it over to you, David.
Thank you, Siobhan. I do want to state, though, that for the board members whose terms would have ended, whether it's the first or second term, would have ended in 2020 at the original date of the biennial meeting, they actually worked another year in addition to that service. There's Donna, you put in 13 years on the board. So thank you very much. The resolution that I have a privilege of extending is to, and I'm looking over at her right now, Brenda Bacon. Brenda works with Harris Teeter, but I think we can both agree that we have formed quite a team with our fellow Conference for Food Protection leadership, Dave McSwain, Cliff Nutt, Vicki Everly, and with all of the board, and making sure the work is done. The chair, by its roles and responsibilities that are in the position description that's posted on the website for Conference for Food Protection, those roles and responsibilities pair. I mean, they just don't live up and compare to what the amount of work that Brenda has accomplished in the 3.5 years just about that she served as the vice chair of this conference. She has served as a voice and support for our council leaders, for our council committees, for our standing committees, and she's done an exceptional job in simplifying things and for us to make progress going forward. She's also helped make the Conference for Food Protection an association of presence in the Retail Food Safety Regulatory Association Collaborative, where Brenda has successfully worked with others to lead the food code adoption work group, which I hope most of you have heard something about its work and the website for the collaborative. And that is work in addition to what she does here at Harris Teeter, and it was in addition to what we were doing as conference leadership. So an amazing amount of time spent serving this organization, serving us and all the membership. And again, she performed admirably in all of those duties. So Brenda, I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for being a loving friend to me. And I think we always have this connection. We always have the conference fee protection. We always have this virtual meeting. So thank you very much. Now I'll turn it over to Brenda.
Now it's my turn. Exciting stuff. Thank you, David, and delegates and guests. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to serve with the executive board and the conference over the last 3 years. We didn't think it was going to be that way, but it was. When I was asked to serve as vice chair of the Conference for Food Protection with David, I was so excited with serving with such a dedicated and passionate leader. We have always worked well together, and this just was a culmination of all the things that we've experienced throughout the years with CFP. I've learned so much from working with David over the last 3 years. Let's see. Patience, persistence, passion, knowledge. It's been amazing. The amount of work and enthusiasm and the passion that he has in working behind the scenes with the executive board and the executive staff is amazing. He was able to keep everything moving, especially once the decision was made to go to a virtual format for the 2020 biennial meeting. The number of meetings, the amount of communication, and the time and effort David put into the biennial meeting was incredible. I tried to add up my hours that I have spent trying to participate with this virtual meeting, and I have no doubt he has spent 3 times the amount of time that I have. And it has to be thousands of hours, literally, that he has spent in his tenure as the chair of this conference. David is also a founding member of the Retail Food Regulatory Association Collaborative. And if you don't know what that is, please get in touch with us because we can share that information with you. This collaborative work required extensive amount of time and effort. David has done all these things while maintaining his day job at the Fairfax County Health Department in Fairfax, Virginia. Absolutely, he has gone above and beyond. Sorry. In fulfilling this role. So it's with sincere gratitude that I and the conference recognize David Lawrence for his service. Sharad, back to you.
Thank you, Brenda. And as we all close, I can understand the emotions and the sentiments that you share. So David Lawrence, Mr. Chair, on behalf of the CFP Resolutions Committee, I offer all these resolutions for the Assembly's consideration. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Sharad. Get my voice back. All right, so at this time, the conference needs to entertain a motion to accept the resolutions that Sharad Bach has presented. Do I have a motion in a second? Angie Wheeler,
I make a motion to accept the resolutions as presented.
thank you, Angie. Joe Graham,
Joe Graham, Washington State, I second.
I have a motion in a second from Angie and Joe to accept the resolutions. Do I have any discussion on the motion? Travis Morris. Travis Morris. Travis, you have your hand raised. Hi, Travis.
Everyone, thank you guys, CFP, the chairs, for Keisha's resolution on behalf of Florida Department of Health and her family. I couldn't put my video up because I was a bit emotional, but I'm pretty sure her family would accept that. And thank you again.
Thank you, Travis. Is there any other discussion on the motion? All right, this one we're going to handle a little different. We're not going to do a poll. This one I'm going to do what I like to do with the board. If there's anyone who's not in favor of the motion to accept the resolutions, please say so. Just open your mic and say so. And hearing none, let's consider that as a motion accepted. I'm not go any further for that part. It's also customary for the Assembly to offer a motion to allow the Executive Board to make editorial changes to issues that were submitted or to the transcript or any other issues that might need to be changed editorially, but not substantially. At this time, I would entertain a motion and a second to that effect. Do I have a motion and a second? Troy Huffman.
Troy Huffman with the state of Colorado, so moved.
Darby Greco.
So, and seconded.
Do I have any discussion on the motion? Darby, you still have your hand up? Okay. Well, do I have any motion on this discussion? On this, any discussion on this motion?
5 seconds. Time. Time, David.
Thank you, Mike. So on this one, I'm going to choose to go with anyone having a lack of support for the motion. Please say no or speak up. Do I have anyone abstaining?
Time.
Here's the motion passes. Thank you. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you your next conference chair and vice chair. I will say that my experience has been more than enlightening, as Brenda and I have described, where it has been an experience working together as conference chair and vice chair. I've said it many times before, this is a highlight of my career, and it's been very rewarding for my professional standpoint. And it is truly unbelievable what you learn about how much work goes on behind the scenes to make these biennial meetings happen. Now, I can't imagine the in-person I knew a little bit about, but virtual was truly a learning experience. And I think even the virtual platform provider, Conference Direct, learned a great deal from our meeting that they can perhaps apply to others. So at this time, I would like to introduce Becky Boat with the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. She will be your new conference chair for the next biennium, and Todd Rosso with Public Supermarkets Incorporated, who will be your next conference vice chair. I don't know if they're on the screen.
I'm here.
All right. Hi, Becky. And do I have Todd?
Hopefully.
Do I have Todd? I'm passing the virtual.
And I've got it. Thank you, David. When this was given to me back in 2019, actually 2 years ago, when the board voted, it was this week. I don't know if everybody realizes it, but I got the pop-ups that it was this exact week that the kids and I were there with you guys. And I would have never thought I'd have to follow in such wonderful footsteps after such adversity. So I can't thank you and Brenda enough for the leadership you guys showed us, that we can do it. Doesn't matter what gets in our way, we can do it. We are CFP. So thank you. I look forward to the next 18 months.
And I look forward to working with you on the board. I'm still in the Mid-Atlantic regulator or local regulatory position, so I look forward to it.
And
Todd
still
Russell?
with the collaborative. And still with
yes.
the collaborative. You and
And still
Brenda,
with
we're
collaborative.
keeping you. We don't let you go.
That's right. Do I have Todd Russell on?
Hey, David, this
Hi,
is Todd.
Todd.
Hey, I appreciate the presentation that you and Brenda gave, the heart that you have in this. It's so true. And I appreciate the work and the efforts that you've done. Brenda highlighted it in an excellent way, the number of hours that you've dedicated. I think even the number of hours, from Dr. McSwain and the other leadership. I thank you for what you've done for food safety. And like Rebecca said, hard steps to follow in. But anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate all you've done.
Thank you very much, Todd. So finally, I want to remind everyone that there will be an email message going out in the next couple of weeks that will notify, well, we're planning on next week, but that will notify you of the opportunity to volunteer to serve on committees. Those would be our council committees and standing committees for the next biennium. Please make sure to be on the lookout for those announcements. They should be coming from our executive assistant, Vicki Everly. And please, based on the information you've heard throughout this biennial meeting about councils that were reporting out, councils that are newly created, councils that were reestablished, the committee formation session yesterday that Elizabeth presented, take all that consideration and make that commitment that the conference needs to make us more effective and efficient and collaborative, and also make you a more productive member, a participating member of the conference. So if you're interested, and of course, that application process also includes any interest in serving as the chair of one of those council or standing committees. So please make sure to fill out that portion of the application as well. So at this point, unless we have any other business, I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn. I need a motion and a second. Do I have that from one of the delegates? Tim Lane?
Make a motion to adjourn
Thank you, Tim.
this biennial meeting.
Thank you. Troy Huffman?
Roy Huffman from the Centennial State of Colorado, second that motion.
Thank you, Troy. And Troy, I was so looking forward to being in Denver, but I can go, we can still go, can't I? All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Do I have any discussion on the motion? I don't think we need to count down for this one. So we'll proceed with anybody with lack of support for the motion to adjourn the 2020 biennial meeting assembly of state delegates. Please let me know by saying no. Adam's messing with us. He's using the X. He did that yesterday too. Shirag, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, David, just wanted to, before you all close and go home or stay home, next conference is in hometown, Houston, Texas. And mid to late April, as many of you may be wondering, and I'm not doing a pitch for the local area committee, which they will do very aptly later on. But in the month of April, it's not really hot and neither is humid. And the location where the conference will be held is a very prime location, number of restaurants where you can literally walk down to, and it's in the Galleria area. So bring your credit card. You can also do some shopping. So I have to pay less sales tax. But hope to see each and every one of you in Houston. And thank you so much, CFP executive team.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Shirag. All right, so my script says safe travels, but it's basically, I don't know how you say it in virtual, but everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and I look forward to working with you over the next biennial. Thank you for the privilege to serve in this capacity.
Thanks, David.